So hi, good afternoon. ठीक है, audible? Excessively audible, I think. So, I think there is excessive cooling in the class today. Chalo. So, I think last class that we talked about the decline, ठीक है? उसके बाद से कोई topic add नहीं किया था. So now, formally we are entering into the regional areas. And first, we need to divide these kingdoms into the two categories, that rebellious states and then also the successor states. Okay? And after that, let's talk about the Carnatic episode. So, let's begin with the first part, which is successor state and the rebellious state. So, listen, that after the decline of the Mughals, okay, there are two types of the states which are emerging in India, and basically these states are emerging from the erstwhile Mughal territory. Okay? And I think I elaborated on that how much area was controlled by Aurangzeb in Indian subcontinent by the time of his death, somewhere in between 75 to 80%. Okay? And it has shrunk to a smaller space. So the very first type of the states are called as the successor states. And why they are called as successor states? Because they were founded by the erstwhile nobility of the Mughal. Okay? So the people who were Mughal nobles, they have founded these states. Moreover, the nature of these states, that they were not completely free, okay, but they were semi-independent. Okay? So semi-independent but completely autonomous in nature. So what is the difference between the two words? That completely autonomous, meaning that in their decision making there would be no intervention from the side of the Mughal emperor. They are free to take their decision, what they want to do in their area, what taxes they will levy on the people, what taxes they will collect. So, is it more? So, no, I think that today's schooling is a little bit more. Okay? So, just listen. So they don't need to take the connivance of the Mughal emperor, that what they would be doing. They can take their own decision. But the semi-independent status means that they accept that Mughals as the nominal rulers of India. Okay? And moreover, in this respect, annually they will be sending some tribute to the Mughal emperor. Okay? So some sort of payment they will be giving to the Mughal emperor. Okay? So these states were mainly Awadh, okay, Bengal and Hyderabad. Okay? Carnatic was also the part of the same. So Awadh, Bengal and Hyderabad. Moreover, one more such symbol of the acceptance of the nominal leadership of the Mughals, that these states, they continued raising the Friday prayers in the name of the Mughal monarch. So generally, इसको बोलते हैं ना जुम्मे की नमाज, ठीक है? So that namaz was raised in the name of the Mughal emperor, ठीक है? And moreover, they also continued minting the coins with the name of the Mughal monarch, ठीक है? So this is the successor state. On the other hand, there is another category which we call as a rebellious state. So first examples I am giving you, that Maratha area was a rebellious state, then Mysore was a rebellious state, Punjab you can say as a rebellious state. So why they are called as a rebellious state? First of all, these areas were not founded by the erstwhile nobility of the Mughal. The founders are not the Mughals. Moreover, before the Aurangzeb's rule, they were independent. There were independent dynasties which were there. They were ruling in this area. For example, if we take the example of the Mysore, so Wadiyar dynasty was ruling, okay, in Mysore. In Maratha area, it was Shivaji who has established the foundation of the Maratha Empire. And Punjab also. So Punjab, earlier it was under the influence of the spiritual gurus, and now after some point of time, Maharaja Ranjit Singh would be leading the foundation of the Punjab. So they are not the nobles of the Mughal. Moreover, these areas were captured by Aurangzeb during his regime. But after his death, the rulers of this area, the people of this area, they reasserted their independence and autonomy, and they established themselves in a completely independent category and then also completely autonomous. So it means that they will not be accepting the nominal leadership of the Mughals, and they are not forced to give anything to them. Okay? So this is how these two type of states were there. Please mention. Number 1, successor states of Mughal. Successor state of Mughal. So you write the founders of these states, these states were the part of erstwhile Mughal nobility. Erstwhile Mughal nobility. Erstwhile Mughal nobility. Full stop. The nature of these estates was semi-independent and completely autonomous. Semi-independent and completely autonomous. Full stop. They did not completely cut off their links with Mughals. They did not completely cut off their links with Mughals. Instead, they respected the nominal leadership. Of the Mughals. The nominal leadership of the Mughals. Full stop. They annually sent tribute to Mughal monarch, comma, raised Friday prayers in his name, and minted the coins with the name of Mughal emperor. Examples mention: Bengal, Awadh, Hyderabad. Then next you write after this rebellious states. Please mention. Right. The founders of these estates were not the part of Mughal nobility. Full stop. Then some of their areas were captured by Aurangzeb. But later, after the death of Aurangzeb, after the death of Aurangzeb, they reasserted their independence. They reasserted their independence and autonomy. ठीक है? Full stop. They did not accepted nominal leadership of Mughals. They did not accepted nominal leadership of Mughals. And they were not supposed to make any payment to the Mughal monarch. They were not supposed to make any payment to the Mughal monarch. Example, you write Maratha, Mysore, Punjab. ठीक है? So this is the categorization. Done? So these are the types of the state. So now we are going to enter into the Carnatic episode. ठीक है? So once we talk about the Carnatic episode, where the fight between the English and the French is going to percolate. So first of all, before moving into this topic, we need to make some background related to the Carnatic area and also Hyderabad, because Hyderabad is going to be involved in the Carnatic also, that these wars also. So let's talk a little bit about the Hyderabad, okay? And it's one of the most important provinces of that time, or the kingdoms of that time. In fact, that it all started, that Hyderabad foundation has been led in 1724, and it was the one of the last of the princely states to be incorporated into India even after independence. Okay? So that part you read in the post-independence, that integration of the princely states into India, and Hyderabad was that the military action was taken to integrate Hyderabad into India, Operation Polo. So now just listen about the Hyderabad. So foundation, as you know, was led down by the Chin Khalij Khan, okay? And he was also called as Nizamul Mulk Asaf Jah. So who was he? So he was a noble of the Turkish group, okay? And from 1713 to 1722, he was governor of the Deccan. Okay? So governor of the Deccan, which included Hyderabad, and the Carnatic was also under the legal purview of the Hyderabad. So he is continuing with that. In 1920-21, he has assisted Mughal emperor in elimination of the Sayyid brothers. Okay? So after that, as a token of gratitude, in 1722, he was offered the position of the Wazir in the Mughal kingdom. And he has come to the Mughal Empire, and then, since he was a capable man and he was a man on a mission who wanted to reform the corrupt Mughal administration. But you know, when you do some good work, then also you invite enemies, okay? You create enemies. So that's how he, in a way, he is doing good work. Many enemies got created in the Mughal house, and they started to fill the ears of the Mughal emperor. And when Mughal emperor started to suspect the intention of the Asaf Jah in 1724, so then he decided that to hell with the Mughal emperor, I will pursue my own aspiration. And in 1924 itself, that he killed the viceroy, that governor of the Deccan. Obviously, when he has become Wazir, so somebody else must have been appointed as the governor of Deccan. So that person was Mubariz Khan, and in Battle of Kheda, he defeated and killed Mubariz Khan. And then he declared Hyderabad as his semi-independent autonomous state. And he founded Asaf Jahi dynasty in Hyderabad. The successors of the Asaf Jah came to be known as the Nizams of Hyderabad. Okay? So this is the title they have taken. Mention. So first you write Carnatic Wars as a title. Okay? Major title as Carnatic War. What is happening with this? Oh, it's not moving. Chalo, fine. So major title Carnatic Wars, and then a subtitle you write Hyderabad. Hyderabad. So please mention little bit. Chin Khalij Khan. Chin Khalij Khan. Chin Khalij Khan was originally a Turkish noble. Originally a Turkish noble in Mughal court. Turkish noble in Mughal court. In between 1713 to 22, in between 1713 to 22, he was governor of Deccan. He was governor of Deccan. Full stop. After elimination of Sayyid brothers, he was offered the position of Wazir. He was offered the position of Wazir in Mughal court. Position of Wazir in Mughal court. He tried to reform. He tried to reform the corrupt administration. He tried to reform the corrupt administration of Mughals. But in a way, he made many enemies for himself. He made many enemies for himself. Full stop. Mughal emperor also started to suspect his intention. To suspect his intention. As such, in 1724, he resigned from the post of Wazir. Defeated and killed governor of Deccan, Mubariz Khan, in Battle of Kheda. Then mention in 1724 he founded Asaf Jahi dynasty. In Hyderabad. Asaf Jahi dynasty in Hyderabad, and his successors came to be known as Nizams of Hyderabad. So see, these are the titles which are used for the emperor. So for example, that Mughals were using for themselves Badshah. Okay? What about the Delhi Sultanate? They were using for themselves Sultan. Okay? Here in Bengal, they will be using word Nawab. In Hyderabad, Nizam. And in Carnatic, Nawab. Okay? In Awadh, Nawab. Okay? So let's come to the next area, which is Carnatic. So just listen. So when it comes to Carnatic, so which particular part of the country we refer as Carnatic? Just have a look at this particular diagram and so not the entire part of India I'm creating, but just the one which is important from the perspective of the this Carnatic area. So Carnatic, as you know, that it will be this part. So this entire part is this side part. This is Carnatic, okay? And moreover, this area is called as Coromandel Coast, okay? So this is Coromandel Coast. And at the top of it, obviously, here we have Hyderabad, okay? So this is Hyderabad. Then what else? Which all areas? So next which we'll be seeing would be Bengal. Obviously, Bengal had a area which you can say that it was from here, okay? So this part would be Mysore, and then rest of the part Maratha. So Carnatic is the Coromandel Coast and the hinterland, meaning that thoda sa andar ka ilaka. So hinterland of the Coromandel Coast is Carnatic. Then Carnatic was one of the province of the Mughal. Just like many provinces of the Mughal, it was one of the province of the Mughal. But Carnatic was kept under the legal purview of the Viceroy of the Deccan or Governor of the Deccan. So meaning that legally it was under the control of Hyderabad. Okay? Generally under the control of Mughal, but then legally, then after under the control of Hyderabad. So just as in practice, इस बात को समझना, that just as in practice, when Hyderabad became free from the Mughal territory, ठीक है, it was declared as a separate territory, ठीक है. So Carnatic also became free from the control of the Hyderabad, ठीक है. So when it has become free from the control of the Hyderabad, they also started to take their own decisions, ठीक है, meaning they are trying to become autonomous. And when they were trying to become autonomous, so there was no contest from any side. So in between 1724 to 30, Carnatic also became free of Mughal control and free of Hyderabad's control. Okay? Now, another thing, that the people who were appointed, that the people who were the main authorities at the Carnatic, they were using the term Nawab with the permission of the Aurangzeb right back from 1690. Okay? So the rulers of the Carnatic, they started to be known as the Nawabs of Carnatic. So this point of time, 1724, Sadat Allah Khan, okay? Sadat Allah Khan, he was the Nawab of Carnatic, and the capital of Carnatic was Arcot. The name of the place was Arcot. So now he started to take his own decisions free of anybody's consultation and appointing his own successor. So by 1730s, when he was terminally ill, so he appointed his nephew Dost Ali as the successor. Okay? So Dost Ali was appointed as his successor. Everything is going fine, that 1730 to 1740, it's fine that Dost Ali is ruling in that area. But in 1740, there was an attack on Carnatic by Maratha. Okay? Marathas are raiding in all directions. Okay? So they also raided Carnatic, in which Dost Ali was killed. So after the death of the Dost Ali, there was a political crisis in the Carnatic. Okay? So political crisis in the Carnatic, and at this point of time, the French governor, Dupleix, okay, he thought that this is the right time that I must interfere in the politics of the Carnatic, so that whoever comes to the power, he supports me, gives me more privilege in the Carnatic. So as when he started this strategy, Britishers very soon followed it, okay, and it resulted into the Carnatic Wars, the 20-year long drawn war, which we call as a Carnatic Wars. So there were total 3 wars, one which started in 1742, second in 1749, and third one in 1756. Okay? So one by one we will look at these all Carnatic Wars. Now you can mention. So mention Carnatic as a title, and then you write Carnatic Carnatic was the Coromandel coast. Carnatic was the Coromandel coast and its hinterland. Its hinterland. Then next you write, it was one of the Mughal province. It was one of the Mughal province, which was kept under the legal purview of Hyderabad. ठीक है, full stop. As in practice, Hyderabad freed itself. As in practice, Hyderabad freed itself from the control of Mughal, comma, so as Carnatic. ठीक है, full stop. Then mention the Nawab of Carnatic, Saadat Allah Khan. Started to take his decision. Saadat Allah Khan started to take his decision without the connivance of Mughals. And Hyderabad. Connivance of the Mughal. Connivance means without consultation. Okay? That is the meaning of the word connivance. Then you write, as such he appointed Dost Ali. As his successor. Full stop. Later in 1740, Marathas attacked on Carnatic. In which Dost Ali was killed. After this attack, the politics of Carnatic started to deteriorate. Full stop. In this situation, French governor Dupleix decided to interfere in the internal politics of Carnatic, so as to get political mileage, in Carnatic. political mileage in Carnatic. Full stop. Very soon, British also followed in the footsteps of French, and started to interfere. Full stop. Started to interfere. As a result, a bitter war got embroiled between French and English, which continued for next 20 years. So listen, particularly this topic, the Carnatic, I don't see this topic is to be heavily interesting. It's a little bland as compared to the other topics. On the other hand, when you complete the Carnatic episode and you read the Bengal, so there are so many things to know about the Bengal, and interesting aspects are also there. But not with the Carnatic. There are some n number of the names and the facts. So I'm going to take n number of the names, but don't pester yourself unnecessary to remember the name at the first place. Have faith in your subconscious mind. Okay? But don't question yourself on the कि इतने सारे नाम है याद नहीं हो रहे हैं, नहीं होगा. In the beginning it doesn't happen, ठीक है? And hell lot of effort is required. So after 1 year, when your PT is closer, obviously in June or May, then so in April you can question yourself, ठीक है? That have you done the enough preparation? So now just listen. So the Carnatic words one by one, the very first Carnatic word. So a prima facie detail about the 3 Carnatic wars or 3 Anglo-French wars, that their reasons. So the very first Carnatic word, the reasons were not based in India, but it was outside. The reasons were based in Europe, and then after it percolated down in India. Then the second Carnatic war, its reasons were purely based in India. Okay? So whatever things which happened in the Indian ground, that provided the context of the outbreak of the second war. Then the third war, once again, regions are not based in India, but outside India, that is Europe. And finally, after the third war, it's all over. So let's talk about the very first one. So by 1740, in the world, there are 2 imperial powers, the strongest, the French and the English. Okay? So in Europe, there was this Austrian War of Succession. Which started from 1740. And what was this all about? So in Europe, in world history later on you read that there was this empire known as Habsburg Empire. Okay? So Habsburg Empire basically starting from the Austria. Okay? So in this empire, the king of the Habsburg Empire, he died. Okay? After his death, there was war of succession. Okay? So the king, he was also some king, that king whose name was something Charles. Okay? So he has died. So after his death, there was a war of succession. There were 2 belligerents in this particular war of succession. Obviously 2 would be there. So one was Maria Theresa. She was the daughter of the king who has died. And then one more person who was a relative, Charles Albert. Then so these people, these 2 are fighting for being the monarch of this Habsburg Empire. Now, in this fight, Britain supported the claim of Maria Theresa. Okay? So Britain is supporting the claim of Maria Theresa, and France supported claim of Charles Albert. So this started the war between the 2 countries, France and Britain. So this Austrian War of Succession, France and Britain started to fight, and not only in India, but wherever in the world these two companies or these two people were present, they started to fight. And the highlight was India and North America. Okay? So in India, they also started to fight. In North America, they also started to fight. And in Europe, they are already fighting. So now let's look at the Indian scenario. So this Austrian War of Succession provided the context of the outbreak of the Carnatic War in India. So in India, it started in 1742. So it was the Dupleix who can be called as the initial aggressor. Okay? So Dupleix, what he did, that he attacked on the British East India Company's position at Madras. And when he attacked on Madras, so Britishers were caught unaware and they had to surrender in Madras. Okay? So they had to surrender in Madras. Now what happened, that Britishers have they have sought the help of the Nawab of Carnatic. And at this point of time, the Nawab of Carnatic was Muhammad Anwaruddin. Okay? So Muhammad Anwaruddin was the Nawab, and he had a soft corner for the British. That he was kind of a friend of the British. So now, when they were in a precarious situation, they have sought help from the Nawab of Carnatic, Anwaruddin, and Anwaruddin sent his army to fight with the Dupleix. Now, so when he has sent his army to fight with Dupleix, Dupleix defeated. French defeated Muhammad Anwaruddin also. Okay? So now he's defeated, and finally the war is proceeding. But in Britain, or basically in Europe, the war was over. Austrian war was over. And what happened, that now after the war, she was chosen the emperor, monarch. Okay? So she cannot be called as emperor, but monarch. Then, so she became the monarch. So now the things have settled down in Europe. And then when the things settled down in Europe, so in India, it also led to the end of the war with the treaty. And the name of the treaty is Aix-la-Chapelle. So Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle. So now, as per this treaty, one more part you need to understand. Since we said that this Austrian War of Succession got reflected in many parts of the world, India, Europe, and North America. So as you can see that in India, it is the French who are victorious. Okay? And in North America, it was British who were victorious. Okay? So now, this treaty was all about re-establishing the status quo. Getting it? Okay? So re-establishing the status quo, meaning that in North America, French were defeated, so they are going to get back their territory. And in India, the British are defeated, so they are going to get back, what is their territory? Madras. Okay? So this is what was this treaty all about. Then, so that's the first war of succession, or first Carnatic War also. Please mention. Number one, you write. So first Carnatic War. First Carnatic War. And dates you mention. Oh, sorry. There is a problem with this particular part. 1742 to 46. Okay? This much. Oh, sorry. This is 49. 42 is not 9. So 1742 to 46. Mention. Okay? In 1740, 1740, in 1740, Austrian War of Succession started. Austrian War of Succession started in Europe. Austrian War of Succession started in Europe. Full stop. The two belligerents, I'm writing the spelling, you can see here. So the two belligerents were Maria Theresa and Charles Albert. Maria Theresa and Charles Albert. Okay? Further, you write, Britain supported Britain supported claim of Maria Theresa, and France supported claim of Albert. ठीक है, full stop. Then write the outbreak of Austrian war provided the context for the beginning of First Anglo-French War in India. Full stop. Change paragraph. Mention French governor Dupleix attacked on Madras. As such, the British were forced to surrender. Full stop. British sought the help of Nawab of Carnatic, Muhammad Anwaruddin. When Nawab sent his forces, it was thoroughly defeated by Dupleix. ठीक है? Change paragraph. On the other hand, the Austrian War of Succession came to an end. Which also stopped the war in India. With Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle. You can see spelling, it's written on board. Aix-la-Chapelle. Full stop. Then you write, as per the treaty, French territory in North America. Was restored to them, and the British territory in India, Madras was restored to British. ठीक है? So now, after this war, I know this is bland, so just listen. So after this war has ended, ठीक है? But still the things are very much there in the air. So now, once again, what is going to happen? So listen, French were highly angry with the Nawab of Carnatic. Okay? Why they were highly angry? Because they were of the view that if this is a fight between the British and French, who the hell is the Nawab to send his army from one side? So Dupleix wanted to take the revenge from the Nawab of Carnatic. And then in 1749, he fought a separate battle with the Nawab of Carnatic, which is known as Battle of Ambur, and in this battle he killed Anwaruddin. So once again there is a political crisis in the Carnatic. Nawab is killed. Okay? Then coincidentally, there is also one thing which has happened in Hyderabad. Okay? 1748 was the year in which the original founder of the Hyderabad, Asaf Jah, he died. And after his death, there was war of succession in Hyderabad. So we need to talk about the belligerents, meaning that those people who are claiming to become the emperor. Okay? So there were two belligerents, and these two belligerents in Hyderabad and Carnatic one by one. So in Hyderabad, Muzaffar Jung and Nasir Jung, okay, they were fighting for the Nizamship. And in Carnatic, Chanda Sahib and the son of the Anwaruddin, Muhammad Ali, okay, so they are fighting for the crown. So this fight is happening. So after this fight, you know what happened? That in Hyderabad, okay, French supported Muzaffar Jung, and in Carnatic, French supported Chanda Sahib, while the British are supporting Nasir Jung and then Muhammad Ali in the respective areas. But French by this time, they became successful in installing their candidates at the two places. So in Hyderabad, Muzaffar Jung became the ruler, okay? And in Carnatic, Chanda Sahib was appointed as the ruler. So now, when the French are successful at the both places, in fact, in Hyderabad episode when French were successful, so French, the Muzaffar Jung, who was the Nizam, he gave them the area of Nadan Sarkar. Okay? It's one such district, okay? That one such area, Nadan Sarkar. There are 4 districts in the Nadan Sarkar in Andhra. So these were given to the French people. Now, so what British company is doing, okay, that it has not been successful at both the places. It has not led to the war. Abhi war start nahi hua. It's just that who is supporting whom and who is coming to the power. So now it felt that British have accepted the fate that they are not successful at the two places. But after this episode, there was change of guards in the British company. A new general was sent to India, okay, and his name was Saunders. So Saunders was sent to India. In fact, many a times we will come across this name, with the same name many other people. So Saunders came to India and he felt the need of some activity, okay. He felt that this is humiliating, that if you accept the success of the French without contesting them. So at this point of time, he was thinking to fight with the French. So there was one young guy, he was just 22 years old, and he was in the writership of the company. I hope you know writership, clerk. He was basically the clerk in the company. Okay? So he was clerk in the company, and at this point of time, he volunteered to the Saunders, and not only volunteered to fight, but also he said that he has some ideas, okay? Ideas which might be quite useful and which might mark the beginning of the British success in India. So then Saunders was an open-minded person, okay? He paid heed to the suggestion. And who was that person? Robert Clive. So Robert Clive gave a suggestion. And what was this suggestion? So ab isko samajhna, okay? This is important part of this particular discussion. So let me first tell you. Arcot is the capital of the Carnatic. This is what we mentioned. So obviously when Chanda Sahib, he has become the Nawab of Carnatic. So he will be living in the Arcot. That is the seat. Then Muhammad Ali, who was the another person, the son of the previous Nawab. So Muhammad Ali, after his defeat, he was in Trikonapalli. Today we call this place as a Tiruchirappalli. So he is in Trikonapalli. And now there was a news that after coming to power, Chanda Sahib was going to march towards Trikonapalli to kill Muhammad Ali, okay, to eliminate him. So this news was already there. So now Robert Clive suggested, it was a simple strategy, okay, but only the implementation part is difficult. So what he suggested, that once Chanda Sahib is moving towards Trikonpalli, okay, so you give me some soldiers, okay, good enough number of the soldiers. So once he is moving from his capital, we will attack on his capital, okay, Arcot. So once he has vacated, enter into the capital, capture his capital, okay. And when we are successful in capturing his capital, when this news will reach to him, so he will not go to Trikonpalli, he will return back to his capital, okay. So while the time he will be returning back to the capital, so we will be inside strategic position, inside the strong position, and then the bigger British army can come and then sandwich Chanda Sahib, okay. So bigger British army can come and then he will be sandwiched between British here, and then he can be defeated. And this is called as the siege of Arcot, okay. So siege of Arcot, and this is strategy of Arcot worked. This strategy of the Robert Clive worked, and this was the first victory of the British in India. We will further write about it, discuss about it later on. You write, mention. Second Anglo-French War. Second Anglo-French War, or Carnatic War you can mention. And dates you write 1749 to 54. 1749 to 54. Now please write, mention. The reasons of the second war. The reasons of the second war completely based on Indian ground. Completely based on Indian ground. Done? Then next you write. Earlier, French defeated and killed. Earlier, French defeated and killed Nawab of Carnatic. Nawab of Carnatic, Anwaruddin. Nawab of Carnatic, Anwaruddin, in Battle of Ambur. Battle of Ambur. Then you write, which created vacancy at Carnatic. Which created vacancy at Carnatic. Full stop. Moreover, in 1748, Nizam of Hyderabad, Asaf Jah, Nizam of Hyderabad, Asaf Jah died. Asaf Jah died, which led to war of succession, in Hyderabad. War of succession in Hyderabad. Done? Then next you mention. The belligerents in Carnatic. The belligerents. Already one time you have written the spelling, second time I will not write. So the belligerents in Carnatic were Chanda Sahib, and Muhammad Ali. Chanda Sahib and Muhammad Ali. Comma, in Hyderabad, Muzaffar Jung. In Hyderabad, Muzaffar Jung and Nasir Jung. Muzaffar Jung and Nasir Jung. ठीक है, so Muzaffar Jung and Nasir Jung. Both the places, French were successful. Both the places, French were successful in installing their candidates. To the crown, candidates to the crown, that is Muzaffar Jung and Chanda Sahib. Muzaffar Jung and Chanda Sahib. Then full stop, change paragraph. Initially, the attitude of British was very callous. CALLOUS. Was very callous. But later, when the new general, Saunders came to India, he felt the necessity of some activity. See, this is the slowest speed in which I am dictating. But still I am saying that you guys have to see the copies of your friends. So please try to improve your speed little bit. How you will be improving? Any idea? What is it? Practice. ठीक है? कितने साल? You don't have time. You will have to start right now. ठीक है? Sure, I think last class somebody said that to share those techniques. We'll share today only. Okay? So this is the 5th class. This is the perfect time. I have already seen your notebooks, that the way you are writing. So I can suggest few measures regarding that. First complete that part and then I share. So what you have written, activity. Then you write, at this point of time, mention, at this point of time, a young clerk, Robert Clive volunteered to fight and suggested a diversion. Which was accepted by the general. So what is this diversion, which already we mentioned, but some more parts needs to be added into this particular discussion. So see that Saunders, he agreed to it, but not the way Robert Clive has explained to him. So Robert Clive wants a good enough number of the people to enter into the capital. Okay? But surprisingly, that Saunders said that if you really want to fight and if you feel that this is a good idea, so I cannot give you beyond 600 to 700 soldiers. Okay? Beyond that, I cannot give you. See that if you would be successful, that's fine. If not successful, so that would not be a great loss for me. Then, so now Robert Clive led by example. Okay? that going with just 500, 700 people, it's very less, okay, as compared to the armies of both the sides, and moreover, you are going to capture the capital. But somehow luck was in their favor, okay, that luck was in their favor, and whatever they did, that perfectly that was turning into their favor. So when Chanda Sahib started marching towards the Trikonapalli, so the Robert Clive, their men, they were waiting at the one such river, okay? And once they have got the news that they are far away from the capital, so then in the night they have entered inside the capital. And moreover, it is easy, okay, that when the major part of the army is away and you have 500, 600 men who has the guns and then these all sophisticated weapons, so to capture the capital. So now the capital is under their control. And Chanda Sahib got this news. Meanwhile, when he is getting the news, he was close to Trikonapalli, then he has to return. So when he is returning, so on the other hand, British are going to the Muhammad Ali's place, and then they are creating their bigger army over here. So now Chanda Sahib has returned. Now he started to fight with the Robert Clive and his men. So it was a difficult war. Why difficult? Because inside there are 500, 600 people whose numbers are less, but their position is strong because they are on the walls. They can easily kill who is there at the downside. Then, moreover, one more problem started to arise for the Robert Clive at this point of time. And the Robert Clive's problem was ration. Okay? And you know that this war continued for 53 days. Then, and 600 people were left with the Robert Clive, and the ration was decreasing day by day. Okay? So day by day, and it is said that in the last week of the war, that ration was reduced to only rice. Okay? There was no other things in the rice. Obviously, you need some sort of strength to fight. So in this situation, it is said that looking at the leadership of the Robert Clive, the Indian people who were the part of this particular army, so they further suggested to Robert Clive that we Indians, we can live on the water in which rice is cooked. Okay? You're getting it? What you call? There are different names in the different parts of the country. Mand in major part of the country. So they said that we can live on that particular rice in which, that particular water in which the rice is cooked, because it is full of the glucose, okay, carbohydrates. And then you Europeans, you can eat the rice. So that's how the ration, which was half, became sufficient for everyone. And it is the 53rd day when the support of the British came with Muhammad Ali, and finally they sandwiched the Chanda Sahib in between, and he was killed and eliminated. So this is how the siege of Arcot worked. So you write a subheading, siege of Arcot, but spelling, let's have a look at it. So this one, siege of Arcot, 1751-52. So mention Robert Clive with near about 600 to 700 soldiers, entered into the Carnatic capital. Arcot, after Chanda Sahib marched towards Trikonapalli. Okay? He led by example, not fought. He led by example and was able to hold the fort. Even in adverse situation. even in adverse situation. Later, on the 53rd day, the larger British army came and defeated Chanda Sahib, and French army. Chanda Sahib and French army. Moreover, Chanda Sahib was executed or eliminated, you can write. Chanda Sahib was eliminated, and Muhammad Ali was appointed Nawab of Carnatic. So now how this is going to come to an end? ये खत्म कैसे हुआ war? एक तो यहाँ पे हो गया. Then the treaty. So the treaty is Pondicherry. ठीक है? So the name of the treaty is 1754 Treaty of Pondicherry. So now, as per the Treaty of Pondicherry, what happened? That French are obviously they are defeated. So now the terms of the treaty, it said that Dupleix must be called back to the France. Okay? And if he is going back from India, so the French territories in India will be restored to them, which the French government accepted. Okay? So why they have accepted, and why British wanted Dupleix to go from India? So now by this time, see that this was the first war which British have won, but they are not discounting, okay? They are not negating the powers of the Dupleix and this his mental power. So they knew that he was highly intelligent, okay? He was highly intelligent, and they also knew that if this time they have been defeated, so Dupleix must not sit back. He will not sit back, and then he will devise a much better strategy. Okay? So much better strategy, and then it could be a defeat of the British. So they did not wanted the threat of the Dupleix to be there in India, and that's how they knew that if Dupleix departs from India, so then it will be easy to defeat the French completely. So now, when the government has accepted that departure of the Dupleix from India, and finally it proved to be the disastrous decision, because now it was a cakewalk for the British, and we'll see that why it was the cakewalk for the British, okay? And what was the attributes of the Dupleix which was working in the favor of the French. So you write, as per the Treaty of Pondicherry, French accepted that departure of Dupleix, French accepted departure of Dupleix from India, departure of Dupleix from India, never to return back. Full stop. In return, the French territory was restored to them. Okay? So that is the second war. Okay? Now, so I know that you are coming across so many names. That's what I said to you. Understand the sequence of the event. Don't unnecessarily emphasize on the names. Names will come down to your memory. It will be there in memory after a long time. Okay? So just understand. And I hope you are understanding that what are the tones of the events which are happening. Yes or no? Okay. So let's come to the third one. So third one, as we mentioned in the beginning of the class itself, that the reasons of the third war were not based in India. Okay? Pehle wala war based in Europe, second war based in India, and third war once again Europe. So in 1756, listen, 1756, 7-year war broke out in the Europe. Okay? So 7-year war broke out in the Europe, whereby it was a final decision to be made in the world that who is the most important, most strongest imperial power in the world between French and English. So no matter, okay, wherever they are, all the places they started to fight. They started to fight in North America. They started to fight in Africa. They started to fight in Europe. They started to fight in India. But in India, what is the scenario? Because India and North America, these are the two most important places. So in India, the scenario was that after the departure of the Dupleix, the new general who was appointed, the new governor, his name was Sir Count de Lally. Okay? So Count de Lally, he was quite opposite to the nature of the Dupleix. Okay? He was very arrogant person and he was quite rash. So very arrogant and rash, and many a times he humiliated and disrespected his own people. Okay? And often saying them that you people are incompetent. Okay? So when you say your people as incompetent, they will say that we will be better incompetent. You go and fight. So this is what was happening. So now, when this war, 7-year war broke out in Europe, in India, it got reflected in the form of Third War, and the most decisive battle of this Third Carnatic War was the Battle of Vendy Wash. Okay? So Battle of Vendy Wash was fought in 1760 between two important people. From the French side, Count de Lally. Okay? And from the British side, there was a very capable person, Sir Eyre Coote. Okay? So Sir Eyre Coote. So 1760 war, in this war only, the French were thoroughly defeated. Okay? There is no need of going into the war further. They were thoroughly defeated in 1760. But since 7-year war continued till 63, so they kept on waiting for the treaty. Okay? So finally, in 1763, there was this treaty. What's the name? Treaty of Paris. Okay? So, Treaty of Paris. And as per the Treaty of Paris, what has happened? So now the imperial ambitions of the French company were winded up in India. What is imperial ambition? To create a colonial empire in India. Many a times we have used this word imperial. What is the meaning of this word imperial? Capturing a particular place, but this is any other answer? Yes, political and related power. Expanding territories. Franchise. Okay. See, you guys are closer to it, but not able to fully elaborate it. Not capitalism necessarily, but you are closer to it. So just listen. See, that it is the extension of the rule of a particular area, particular country. Listen carefully. Extension of a rule of a particular country apart from its own native place. Okay? So for example, that Britain, okay? So Britain, their native country is Britain, they must rule in India, but they are extending their rule in India, okay? So that is the extension of their rule in a country or in a region which doesn't belongs to them. And when you are extending a rule in other country, so that means that you are controlling their political system, you are controlling their economic system. So in a way, it also means that the people of the different country who extend their rule in the different areas, other areas, to extend their political and economic control. So this is what we call imperialism. Okay? I hope you got that. So that's what we are saying, that imperial power, because these countries, France and Britain, they wanted to create their colonies. This is the meaning, that they want to create their colonies in the different parts of the world. Okay? So now listen. So the imperialist ambition of the France was winded up. Okay? So it was winded up, and moreover, the French company accepted the British protectorate in India. One more keyword which we have mentioned, British protectorate in India. So what does it mean? So just understand that French are not said that you go from India. They were allowed to continue with their trade. Okay? Whatever trading centers are there with them, they can continue with their trade. They can remain living. That they can remain in India. They can live in India. But if they will have to expand, if they want to create one more trading center, if they want to do anything new in India, so they will have to seek the permission of the British first. And then you can seek the permission of the Indian ruler. Okay? So first you will have to take the permission of the British, and then you can take the permission of the Indian ruler. So this is what is the meaning of the British protectorate. Okay? So this is the last thing for the French, and then from here onwards their complete decline from India has started. Please mention. So, right, Third Carnatic War. Third Carnatic War, 1758 to 63. But listen, इसमें we are writing 58, but when 7-year war started, 56. इंडिया में 2 साल बाद हुआ. ठीक है? So please write. The outbreak of 7-year war. The outbreak of 7-year war in Europe. The outbreak of 7-year war in Europe provided the context. Provided the context for the Third Carnatic War. For the Third Carnatic War. Full stop. The most important and decisive, the most important and decisive fight between the two companies. Fight between the two companies happened in Battle of Wandy Wash. Battle of Wandy Wash. I think where I have written era. So Wandy was 1760. Okay. In this battle, Sir Eyre Coote of Britain, thoroughly defeated. Sir Eyre Coote of Britain thoroughly defeated French officer Count de Lally. Count de Lally. Lally. Full stop. The war ended with Treaty of Paris. The war ended with Treaty of Paris 1763. 1763. Full stop. The treaty winded up the imperialist ambition. Of French company. Imperialist ambition of French company from India. French company from India. Full stop. Though French were allowed to retain their trading centers, and continue trade but they had to accept, they had to accept the British protectorate in India. They had to accept British protectorate in India. So this is about the war. Then we need to do some analysis that the reasons for the failure of the French. Okay? But before that, as I promised to you, that let's have a discussion on the writing. So I think some sort of discussion we did in the last class here, but let's share with all of you that what all things you need to improve. So listen few things. There are two things. One is handwriting. So my question to you, that how much importance can be given to the handwriting? Is it very necessary to develop a very beautiful handwriting to get good marks in the exam? Not at all. Okay? So not at all. Handwriting does not plays a very important role in this exam. But what plays important role is the legibility of your handwriting. What is legibility? It must be comprehensible. Okay? The person who is reading it, he must be able to read it in a quick fashion. So first you need to improve the legibility of your writing. Okay? And the second is that one, you need to improve the speed of your writing. So let's talk about the speed first, why it is important. That in the mains stage of examination, okay? In the mains stage of examination, you get 20 questions per paper. And if you just keep in this 20 question 250 words, okay? So in 250, it comes around how many words? 5,000, okay? So 4,000 to 5,000, generally it varies between it, okay? Sometimes they keep it 200 words also. So the general is that 4,000 to 5,000 in between you need to write, okay? Then how much time you get? 180 minutes, okay? And in 180 minutes you can easily remove 10 to 15 minutes, okay? 10 minutes you can remove. Why? Because you are reading the questions also, okay? You are thinking also, you are that kind of creating the strategy of writing the answer also. And then one more very important part, that writing your roll number, okay, the sequence and everything at the first page. So 10 minutes you can remove. Now you have 170 minutes to write. Then so 170 minutes to write, and roughly, okay, roughly for 20 answers, okay, if we go by the utilization of complete 180 minutes, so you get 9 minutes per question, okay? And in reality you get 8.5 minutes, okay? So 8.5 minutes to write your answer. So that much be your speed. That many times I have seen that people knowing all the answers, they were not able to complete the question paper, that they stopped at 15 and 16. And believe me, if you're attempting just 15 and 16, forget about getting any interview call. You will not get, okay? So you can afford leaving one question if you don't know, leaving two questions if you don't know, but beyond that is unacceptable, okay? So you need to improve your speed, but how you will be improving? So one method is basically that in classes you are writing. See, you are not writing in the classes, which means that you are not improving on a speed, and then you will compromise your strategy in the mains examination. So you must write in the classes. Classes are a great way to improve your handwriting speed. But the second thing, that there are some technical aspects which I'm going to talk about, and which I have observed, particularly that the first, this bench, first two bench, and then there. So method is like, so what you do, that majority of you, what I'm seeing, that your way of holding the pen is not right. Okay? And that's what plays the major role in your handwriting speed. So how you, all of you, majority of you, some of you have very good speed, but some of you don't have the speed. So what is stopping you? So how you're holding the pen? This is the pen. You are holding it over here. Okay? Very close to the nib. Okay? So very close to the nib. So when you hold the pen very close to the nib, so what happens? You apply hell lot of pressure on this part. Okay? So you apply hell lot of pressure on this part, And not only you apply pressure on this part, but you are also applying pressure on your notebook. Okay? So you're also applying pressure on your notebook, which creates a resistance in your handwriting. There is a friction. This pressure, that pressure, and there is a friction. So your hand doesn't rolls. That's the one thing. So what is the solution? Very simple solution. Hold the pen from little distance. Okay? Hold the pen from little distance. यहाँ से मत पकड़ो, ठीक है? पता चले कि नाखून से लिख रहे हो, ठीक है? So नहीं, और कुछ समय के बाद ये भी पता चलेगा कि नाखून भी नहीं, खून से लिख रहे हो, ठीक है? So hold the pen from little distance, ठीक है? And when you're holding it from little distance, so automatically the pressure reduces. And moreover, the way the pen is created, ठीक है? This part when you are holding, so you cannot apply a lot of pressure on this part, ठीक है? Because your body itself will say to you that this is not right, ठीक है? So that is the scientific thing which has gone into the creation of the pens. So when you're holding from this, so then you're not applying pressure. And when you're not applying pressure, so your hand will glide. And moreover, you're not creating the carbon copies in your notes. Many of you have created carbon copies. Just flip the page, ठीक है? And no, the page on which you have written, not yours, ठीक है? Let me touch. ठीक है? Yes, there is. In your, there is. So just have a feeling. You and close your eyes and have a feeling. It seems that you all are blind and you are able to read what you have written. Yeah. So you have applied so much of pressure that the imprint of what you have written has gone into the second page. ठीक है? और किसी दिन अगर जो बहुत गुस्सा हो तो पेज ही फाड़ दोगे. पर एग्जाम में देखो, एग्जाम में you don't get seat B, seat C. ठीक है? UPSC exam has changed this all. Earlier, when we were giving the exam, so we were given the question paper, and in answer sheet we were given this kind of paper, this kind of A4 sheet. So we needed to write the question number 1, okay, and then answer. Now this is not available to you. From 2013 onwards, what they are doing? Questions are written in your this only seat only, ठीक है? So you don't have the option to ask for कि B copy दे दो, C copy दे दो. यूनिवर्सिटी में थे कि जितनी कॉपी भरो पास हो जाओगे, ठीक है? So that option is not available. So you cannot apply a lot of pressure on the paper. फट गया तो इस साल का रिजल्ट भी फट गया. So that's the one part. And see how much improvement you can expect from this. It seems to be a very simple strategy, but believe me, it is one of the very difficult thing to do, because in your subconscious mind, in your reflex action, what has gone, the technique that you are following from your childhood. Okay? So what will happen that now you have listened it to. Suppose if I start dictating, so for 1 minute you are holding it over here, next minute it will come down to this place. Yeah, this will happen. Okay? So you will have to be little conscious in this. Okay? That little conscious that whenever you realize that your hand has come down to this point, move to this. Okay? You will have to do this exercise at least 20 days. Okay? Then it goes down into your reflex action. I hope you know what is reflex action. That once you have learned the riding cycle, you will never forget in your life. Okay? So it has gone into your reflex action. So here also, the 20 days you will have to be little cautious, and then it comes down to this place. Okay? So it will take a lot of effort in this 20 days, and time and again when I see, so I can instruct you that please hold the pen from here. So that I can do for some time, but not all the time. Okay? Because obviously in a week there is not only modern Indian history class. Kuch aur bhi to padhoge. So that is one part. Then how much improvement can happen? So I have seen the improvement happening from near about that 30% to 40% increase in speed, and 30 to 40% increase in the speed is lot. Then so obviously if you are able to write 15 questions in reality, so you will definitely write 25% increase means that you are writing the 20 questions. So please do this exercise. I hope you have understood the very simple technique, but it needs to be followed. And listen, overnight writing change nahi hogi. It will take near about 2 months. ठीक है, for your writing speed to increase. Moreover, some people are naturally gifted in their writing speed. How? They are naturally gifted in their writing speed because they have cursive handwriting. Okay? So when you have a cursive handwriting, automatically your speed is 10 to 15% more than the people who are writing it separately. So if you look at my own handwriting, I'll share my own thing with you. It is not a cursive handwriting. Okay? It's a very separate kind of thing. So what I am writing, sir, okay, this way. But there are few people who write it this way without holding the pen up. So their speed is more. So these people have this benefit, but they have one disadvantage also. Okay? What is disadvantage? The people of the cursive handwriting, their handwriting looks beautiful, but their legibility decreases. Okay? Legibility decreases, meaning that it takes little bit of effort to read your answers, to read your notebook. So in this journey, you will come across people whose writings are so beautiful that you want to paint it on the wall. But at the end of the day, you will not be able to read that what is painted on the wall. I have literally seen it, that beautiful handwriting, but a lot of effort to read it. So legibility must be there, speed must be there. So now for legibility, what you will be doing. So I will share one technique with you. Anybody who has any newspaper of the day, any newspaper, कोई newspaper दे दो मेरे को. Thank you. So what you will be doing, और जाहिर सी बात है that morning में अभी तो newspaper पढ़ा भी नहीं होगा. So by the evening you guys will be reading the newspaper. So what you need to do, that you just choose an article. ठीक है? You chose an article. Suppose that these are the not the sports one, but anything which is political. Okay? So text and context. So for example, I have chosen this article, text and context, turbulence in the airline. Okay? So this article, so what I will do, that this article, since it is related to the airline, sports must choose karna, related to political economy and whatever. So now, and article you haven't read. So what you will do, that you give to one of your friend or anybody who is closer to you by the evening, by the today's evening. So give the particular paper to them, the article that you have not read, and ask that person, he also must not have read. So say to him that mark from the very first, the story so far, and count the words 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? 250 words. Ask him for 250 words, mark it, and suppose the 250 word is coming around this. तो यहाँ से यहाँ तक mark कर दो, ठीक है? And then say to him, dictate it to me in 9 minutes. ठीक है? So dictate it to me in 9 minutes. You are going to write it. Okay? So when you are writing it in 9 minutes, 250 words you are writing. Okay? So that is the speed that you require, that you need. Okay? So after, when it is done, close the newspaper, give it to somebody else, come to the class, give to someone else. Okay? Give to someone else, not to your friend. Okay? Or not the class, anybody else, the third person. You will have to go to the third person. Give him a red pen and then say to that person that mark, that encircle those particular words which you are not able to read. Okay? So how many letters are there in English alphabet? 26. Okay? So generally what happens, that out of the 26 letters in the English alphabet, when you're writing, you are only compromising on 4 to 5. Okay? If you are compromising beyond, so then you need to go back to the nursery. Okay? But if there is 4 to 5 words, so then that person will kind of, he will encircle. Okay? So suppose that he has encircled some of your words, and the general words which I have seen, which are not legible, so are, okay? I, then H and N. Sometimes there is no difference between the H and N, okay? Sometimes T, okay? And you forget to write this way. So T seems to be something different. So 4-5 words of your, they are encircling. ये मुझे समझ में नहीं आया. This I didn't understood that what you have written. So there is a pattern in the way you are writing, and you will know that these are the 4-5 words of mine which don't have the legibility, visibility. Now you need to work on those 4-5 words only to improve the legibility of those 4-5 letters only. And this is how you improve the visibility of your answer. I hope you are getting it. Okay? And why I have said to you to choose the different person. Why? Because the person who is dictating, okay? Suppose मैंने dictate किया तुम्हें, and then you gave that copy to me, so I know what I have dictated. I will read it, ठीक है? Despite you have written it in a flawed manner, मैंने पढ़ा है article, so मैं उसको पढ़ लूँगा. So that's why you need to give it to somebody else who have not read that article. You are getting it? So this way you can improve the legibility of your handwriting. Okay? So you must do that. This is the first step in this exam. Because if you are not going to improve the legibility of your handwriting, so no matter how good answer you have written, at the end of the day you are not going to get the marks. There is a reason behind it. देखो, हर आदमी limited time लेके आया है यहाँ पे, ठीक है? And I'm not talking about life, I'm talking about that work hours, ठीक है? Limited work hours. So those who are examiners, they are the university panel professors, ठीक है? UGC panel professors, and nobody is a saint, ठीक है? Nobody is a saint. There is always a motivation to work. Then, so what is their motivation? Obviously, they have been selected into this UGC panel, which is itself is a privilege. Then, and another thing, there is always a monetary motivation. Okay? So for each copy they are checking, they get paid. Okay? So for each copy they are checking, they get paid. Suppose I and you are checking the copy, okay? And then luckily I got 10 copies where the legibility of handwriting was good. And then you got 10 copies where the legibility of handwriting was bad. So I have checked 10 copies in a day, you checked only 5, I got 5,000, you got only 2,500. Then so there is a relative deprivation, and moreover you are wasting the time of examiner. You need to save the time of examiner by writing it very clearly. See that if you are wasting his time, so he will be frustrated. He is not my chacha, my dada, ठीक है, कि मेरा बच्चा है दे देता हूँ इसको, उसको पता ही नहीं है, ठीक है? So you need to save his time, and once you save his time, so he will reward you, and that's the way that you will be doing. One more thing, that we often talk about that what would be going into the writing, that the language of the writing. So do you have any idea that what sort of language you will be adopting in the exams? बताओ, कुछ तो अपने इन पे बताओ. Very formal is not a word. That will not define. Yes, simple language. ठीक है? See. So simple language, easy to understand, okay? But that does not mean that you will be writing in a simple language like that you have got the essay on a cow, okay? Cow is our national animal, okay? Cow has 4 legs, okay? It has a tail also, okay? Twin tail also, then it has 2 eyes. So see, this is not simple English, this is pathetic. So you don't need to go in that pathetic way. Simple English means that you're using the words which are easily comprehensible. Okay? The other person who is reading it, for example, that the way we are interacting today. So that is the simple English, that you are able to understand. So this is the simple English. And simple English does not mean that you don't have the robust vocab. You must have a very robust vocab. Okay? Sometimes this robust vocab of yours play important role. So for example, that in if you write in an exam, let's suppose one such policy of the government has taken some decision regarding the that airlines. suppose airlines, ठीक है, and then you write benefits of that. Suppose you have been asked the benefits of that policy of the airlines. So then if you write it has an outlier effect, ठीक है, so or it has an that it has worked as an economy of scale, then so economy of scale is much better than the economy of some other type. So some technical words are there which also you can use, and it will have a very important impact, ठीक है, that you know the specific word for a particular thing. So that thing you also need to develop, and obviously it is going to develop from the classes also and the newspaper you are reading, ठीक है, and also more than reading newspaper, you know what helps? Seeing the news on the television, or listening to the news on the All India radio, or whatever sources that you like, you just go with that. So please develop that kind of vocab, ठीक है, please create that kind of vocab. Please don't go with the Tharurian vocab, ठीक है, that is not required. So that much complication is not required. He is a proficient person in the English language, but not all of his words masquerading, ठीक है, not required, ठीक है. अब बताओ, सारे जो UGC professors and not all of them are from Delhi. Obviously, there are n number of the colleges from all over India, ठीक है, and there are intelligent people from these all colleges. So a person from some university from Eastern UP, he is coming to examine your copy. But do you believe that he will have the same English like the Shashi Tharoor? Obviously he will not. And you know about your professors. कभी कभी तो लगता है कि उनसे अच्छी तो हमारी थी, ठीक है. So you know that. So keep them in mind also, that those poor fellas, they must be able to understand your answer. So these all things you must keep in mind and accordingly do this job. So I hope this particular strategy thing that I have shared with you, that handwriting, improving the legibility of handwriting and also your speed, please must do it. Okay, chalo. So take break, and then after we'll talk about the failure of the French. Listen, so we need to go into the topic of the causes of the failure of the French from India, and then after obviously we have less time, but we'll start with the Bengal. Okay, so now listen, when it comes to the causes of the failure of the French, so what were exact causes? So in the beginning, in the very first class, what we discussed, that the French was a public company, basically government company, and on the other hand, British was a private company. Okay? So there are some benefits of being a private company. And what is that benefit? That decision making becomes very fast. Okay? So decision making very fast, and then you are not dependent on the higher authorities that keep on waiting that they will approve the decision, then we will go ahead. So in British company, decision making was fast, and decision making was casualty in the French company. Okay? Moreover, whenever the decisions were taken, so then also there was lag in the decision making. Then comes the organization of the two armies or two companies. So basically, the British company by this time, that it was quite coherent and it had a central authority, and everybody was paying heed to the commands of the central authority. So for example, that when this battle has happened, Battle of Wandy was in 1760, so everybody was working under the command of Sir Eyre Coote. But on the other hand, Count de Lally, he was rash, he was arrogant, and he was not very much supportive to his own people. So as a result, their own people were not supportive to him. In fact, there was an underlying emotion in the French army that many of the people, they wanted Sir Eyre Coote, Sir Count de Lally to be defeated, okay, and killed. Then so their army is not united. Then another thing that we have not read till this point of time, we will read in the Bengal. So Battle of Plassey, which has happened in 1757. Okay? So after this Battle of Plassey, British were successful in killing Sirajuddaula, and then after, the person who has come to power, Mir Zafar, he paid huge sum to the Britishers. So this sum we'll be writing later on. One was the war indemnity, basically war damage price. which was around 2,75,000 pound, and then they also got 26 lakh bribe. So hell lot of money they have got after the Battle of Palasi, which we call as a Palasi plunder. So Palasi plunder, it made available huge resources or huge wealth at the expense of the British. So they didn't had any financial difficulty in the Third War. Then, while the French company, they were dependent on the approval of their government in French for the finances. So they faced financial difficulty. And moreover, within these 10 years, the British have created the strongest navy in the world. Then, so their naval power was also much, much better than the French. So counting on these all decisions, that's how the French were defeated. You can mention. So right, reasons for the reasons for the failure of French. Reasons for the failure of French. Failure of French. Then number one, you write. French was a government-owned company. French was a government-owned company due to which decision making was slow. Decision making was slow. ठीक है? Moreover, there was also lag in communication. There was also lag in communication. Then, next you write, lag in communication. On the other hand, British was a private company. British was a private company. And the decision making was fast. Next point. British operated under a central command. And they had a cohesive unit. They had a cohesive unit. In the same statement you write, on the other hand, the French general Count de Lally was very arrogant and rash. Due to which there was not complete cooperation. In French army. Then there was not complete cooperation in French army. ठीक है? Next point. After the Battle of Palasi, British had huge wealth. At their expense. From which they funded the war. Full stop. while French faced many financial difficulties. French faced many financial difficulties. Full stop. Next point. By 1760, British were able to create a much stronger navy than the French. Much stronger navy than the French. And one last you write. One more you write. One more point you write. Last but not the least. Last but not the least. That recall of French was recall of Dupleix. That recall of Dupleix was a mistake. Recall of Dupleix was a mistake. So this is why the French were defeated at the very first place. So now we are done with this particular topic. Bengal is a bigger topic. Just listen. We are going to start with the Bengal. We still have time. So Bengal is a bigger topic and there are n number of the intricacies involved in the Bengal episode. So let's begin with it, and first I will start with the timeline, little bit of timeline, and then we can go into the salient features of the Bengal. So how we are going to proceed in this topic, just listen. So first we will write about some of the important aspects of the Bengal, okay? The salient features of the Bengal, that why it was so important. And then after we can look at the crisis which has come to Bengal after the death of Alivardi Khan. We will talk about the regime of Alivardi Khan, and then after his death, the crisis which is war of succession. And this war of succession will lead to the elevation of Siraj-ud-Daulah as the next emperor. But that is also the time when the British are supporting the counter person, and then they have their eye on the Bengal. In 1757, the Battle of Plassey will happen. But what is the reason behind the Battle of Plassey? Exact things we will discuss. After the end of the Battle of Plassey, the consequences of this battle, and then we talk about the next rulers. Okay? So the ones who are appointed by the British, Mir Jafar and Mir Qasim. And after Mir Qasim, the Battle of Buxar and the outcome of the Battle of Buxar and Treaty of Allahabad. Okay? So let's start with the timeline in the Bengal. So you can write a heading, Regional Power of Bengal. Regional Power of Bengal. What is the class number today? 5 now? Okay. Fine. So we'll be able to complete this in 6. So regional power of Bengal. So just write the timeline. Timeline. 17 to 1727. This is the regime of Murshid Quli Khan. Oh, sorry. Then 1727 to 1739. Take it. So it is 29. Yes. Yeah, Quli. We pronounce it as a Quli. Take it. See, English is a funny language. So we never know that which word you call chimera or chimera, Quli, chuli, ठीक है? पता है मुझे थोड़ी चुल मच जाती है हमने, ठीक है? So सरफराज खान, and you know सरफराज धोखा नहीं देता, ठीक है? So and Sujauddin. So they were the rulers, Sarfaraz and Sujauddin, for some time. And important is this, basically the first and the Alivardi Khan. So Alivardi is there till 1756. Alivardi Khan. Then after Alivardi, you please mention 1756 as a date. War of Succession. War of Succession. And then once again 1756 to 57 you mention Siraj-ud-Dawla as the ruler. Siraj-ud-Dawla. Then so Siraj-ud-Dawla, 1757 is Battle of Palasi. '57 to 60. This is Mir Zafar. 1760 to 63. Mir Qasim. And 1764 Battle of Buxar. And the last one 1765 Treaty of Allahabad. Treaty of Allahabad. Visible? Write a subheading after this one. Salient features of Bengal. A subheading. Salient features of Bengal. So now listen. That when it comes to Bengal, so Bengal was the richest province of the Mughal India. Once again, listen. Bengal, don't write. Bengal was the richest province of the Mughal India. Okay? And it was holding a very important position in the Mughal politics. Okay? So in the Mughal politics. So now, that in 1717, why Murshid Quli Khan, he led the foundation of the Bengal. So he was not happy with the decision of this person. Who was that? Farrukh Siyar. Okay? So Farrukh Siyar, the royal farman which Farrukh Siyar gave to the British East India Company. One of the provision was to further fortify Calcutta. Okay? So, and one was that duty-free trade in Bengal, Bombay and Madras. So this second one, and then also the minting coins. This is something which was not liked by the Murshid Quli Khan, who was the governor of the Bengal at that point of time. So he contested Mughal emperor and he said that I will not let it happen in Bengal, that they cannot fortify Calcutta, okay, until and unless I am there. So now this scuffle has happened. It's not a war, it's not a battle, scuffle has happened, and Farrukh Siyar knows his position, okay, that he knows his position that he cannot contest against the Murshid Quli Khan in Bengal. So now there was this agreement that this will be the first semi-independent autonomous state, and then Murshid Quli Khan is free to take his decision, but he will have to pay annually tribute to the Mughal emperor. Okay? So now he has led the foundation of the Bengal. But during his tenure, that is 1717 to 1727, what has happened? Okay? So in this tenure, Bengal has progressed in leaps and bounds. Okay? So leaps and bounds, so how it progressed? So first of all, one by one, we need to talk about some of the things which has happened. So very first thing, that any such kingdom or monarchy, it progresses if it has a very effective land revenue system, okay, or revenue system. So the revenue system of Bengal was highly effective, okay, it was highly efficient. So why it was highly efficient? Let's have a look at that. Let me write it first. And so my question to you, once again I'm asking a question, that zamindari, okay, we discussed a little bit earlier also, and here also we are bringing. So the zamindari as an institution, was it very much firmly there in all over India or in some parts of the country? Some parts of the country, very good. So Bengal was the one state where zamindari institution was very strong. Okay? So, and it is the zamindari through which they are getting the revenue. So now what happens over here? Okay? That in Bengal, it was the zamindars who were collecting the revenue. But when it comes to zamindars, so there were large number of zamindars in Bengal, okay? And Bengal here means Odisha and Bihar also, okay? And Bangladesh also, Assam also, okay? So large number of zamindars were there. But obviously that this large number of zamindars, all of them don't have the equal power. Okay? Some of them are having very great power, and some of them are just zamindars. Their influence is in a limited area. So Murshid Quli Khan, what he did, that this land revenue collection rights, okay? Land revenue collection rights, he favored that he must give it to the bigger zamindars. Okay? So big and powerful zamindars, okay? And moreover that he did not favor the smaller zamindars, okay? So he is not favoring smaller zamindar, he is only favoring the bigger zamindar. So when you are favoring the big and powerful zamindar, the reason, okay, understand that when the small zamindars, they would be in n numbers, so it will be difficult to keep a surveillance on the small zamindar, okay? If their numbers are high, it is always very easy to look easy to look at the work of the people who are less in number rather than the people who are in large numbers. So one was this reason. Moreover, many a times this smaller zamindar were not effective in the collection. Suppose that there is a village, okay? And there is a small zamindar over there. His authority is only there till village. Okay? He is the one who needs to collect the revenue. Okay? And he has 15-20 men, that 15-20 men who are working for him, and they are collecting the revenue. What if one fine day the villagers, they say that dekh lete hain, kya kar loge, okay? We will not pay the things you are demanding. Our numbers are greater than you. So obviously villagers are 500, 1000, okay? So this way many places smaller zamindars were not effective, okay? So if they needed to collect 1000, so they were able to collect 600, 700, so they were not effective. On the other hand, the big powerful zamindars, and zamindars had their own army also. They were maintaining the lathadars and then thanedars. We will talk about that. So they were maintaining their troops also. So big powerful zamindars have henchman status, and their power is there, so they can extract the revenue easily. Okay? So this way they were resourceful, and by the time of his death, 1727, only 15 bigger zamindars of Bengal were responsible for near about 60% revenue of the Bengal. Okay? So this has worked for the Bengal. You're getting it then? So favoring the bigger zamindars has worked for the Bengal. So this is the first salient feature. You mention. So first you mention that Bengal was the richest province. Bengal was the richest province of Mughal India. Bengal was the richest province of the Mughal India. Full stop. During the regime of Murshid Quli Khan, it further achieved new heights. Okay? New heights. Then you write, further mention, the salient aspects are as follows. The salient aspects of Bengal are as follows. So it was the introduction kind of thing, and then we are writing the aspects. So very first one, first aspect, you write efficient revenue administration. Efficient revenue administration. Administration. So you write the institution of zamindari something funny happened over here. Something Bengali. Amra sobai raja. You mean, you know what is the meaning of this one? हमारे यहाँ सब राजा हैं. Who has written this? Rajarshi has written. So, वो तुम लोग भी राजा हो, सब राजा हैं. That's, he is quite right. So mention the institution of zamindari was very strong. Then you mention very strong. Murshid Quli Khan favored the big and the powerful zamindars. Favored the big and powerful zamindars for the collection of revenue. Big and powerful zamindars for the collection of revenue. Collection of revenue. Instead of large number of smaller zamindars. Instead of large number of smaller zamindars. This system proved to be very effective. This system proved to be very effective. Full stop. By the time of his death, and his stands for the Murshid Quli Khan, okay? So by the time of his death in 1727, 15 powerful zamindars were responsible for 15 powerful zamindars were responsible for more than 60% revenue collection. More than 60% revenue collection of Bengal. Revenue collection of Bengal. So this is the part number one. Now come to the second important part, and it's very unique. Okay? When it comes to the aspects of the Bengal, this is not seen in any part of the country. So the growing importance of the merchant bankers in the Bengal politics. So who are merchant bankers? First we need to understand. So there are two words. We are mentioning merchants, bankers. Okay? So merchant banker. So who are merchant? Any such answer from your side? Traders. Okay? So but what kind of traders? They are traders, but what kind of traders? They jute. Yes? मैंने commodity थोड़ा पूछा है. मैंने पूछा है which type of trader. I'm not asking that spice trader or animal trader. I'm asking that, yes, they give loan. पैसे का व्यापार. कुछ ज़्यादा हो जाएगा. Let me explain. ठीक है? So now, see, merchants are those people who are actually intermediary. ठीक है? What they do, their work is that they buy product from the original producer. Okay? They are the first level of buyers. So they buy the products from the original producer, okay? And then they sell it to the other traders. Okay? So you can call them, they are wholesalers. You're getting it? Okay? So basically, suppose that original producer, that there is a farmer in Haryana, okay? They are cultivating the different kind of vegetables. So they are the first level of the producer. But then there is a merchant who is buying from that person. He is bringing that to the market of Delhi, and from market of Delhi, these all vegetable vendors buying from him and then going into the different areas of Delhi. You're getting it then? So merchants are those people who had the contacts with the original producer, okay? And they buy their stuff and then on a higher price they sell it to the traders. So there was growing importance of the merchant bankers in the Bengal. So the second word which we are adding, that merchant to ek baat ho gayi, dusri bankers. So they are bankers also. So whatever profit that they are getting from this activity of the trade, they are using this profit to give loan to the people, okay? And they did not give loan on a very high interest rate, on a comfortable rate, okay? So on a comfortable rate, so that it is beneficial to them also, and the people don't feel that it is much oppressive. This is what I was calling economy of scale. Economy of scale means that if I am keeping the loan rate interest little low, so more number of people will take loan from me, okay? And if I keep the interest rate very high, very less number of people will take loan from me. So economy of scale में दोनों को फायदा होता है. So this is what they were doing in the Bengal. But in this merchant banker scenario, there was a family which was very important, okay? So that family, we call them as a Jagat Seth family, okay? I'll talk about this family, okay? But first listen. So these merchant bankers, what was their importance? So their importance, one, they are giving the loan and they are the original, that they are sourcing the products from the original producer, giving to the traders. But moreover, in Bengal politics, they had very important role because they came to the rescue of the zamindars, they came to the rescue of the peasant, and they came to the rescue of sometime Bengal Nawab also, because at each and every level of transaction, they were providing the security. I have used a big technical word here, okay? Let's elaborate it. So what is each and every level of transaction? पहले इसको समझो, ठीक है? So for example, that there is a peasant, ठीक है? The peasant needs to give revenue to the zamindar. Then zamindar has collected the revenue. Zamindar will give it to the ruler, ठीक है? And last, annually, there is a some point of amount which the ruler of the Bengal will give it to the Mughal emperor, okay? So these are the levels of transaction, okay? Now, so then I said that these merchants, bankers, they provided security at each and every level of transaction. So what is this security? The loan. We are calling it as a security, okay? So for example, suppose there is a peasant who needs to pay to the zamindar, and very recently his daughter's marriage has happened. He doesn't have that money. So what he's doing, he's taking the loan from the merchant banker, giving it to the zamindar. Then the same thing, suppose that same thing if it has happened in the jamindar's family also, that he has created a bungalow in the Calcutta, okay? He has spent all the money and he needs to submit the revenue to the Bengal Nawab at time. So what he will do, he will take loan from the merchant banker, give it to the the Nawab. Then sometimes, not always, there were fewer times when the Bengal Nawab needed immediate money to pay to the Mughal emperor. This time also they have given it to the Bengal Nawab. So it means that this merchant banker we are talking about, they are very wealthy people, okay? And it actually goes to this family, okay? So Jagat Seth family. So listen little bit about this Jagat Seth family. And this Jagat Seth family, it was holding a very important position in the Bengal politics. So originally, that it was a Marwadi Jain family. I hope you know what is Marwadi Jain. The people who are originally from the Marwad of the Rajasthan, and Jain is the name of their religion. Okay? So the original person, his name, and लिखना कुछ भी नहीं है, जो लिखना होगा I will dictate. So original person was Hiranand Sahu, ठीक है? And Hiranand Sahu, way back he migrated from the Marwad and he is living in the Patna. In Patna he made huge fortunes. Then so in Patna he made huge fortunes by selling some of the important commodities which were in much demand at that point of time. So you know what are those commodities? Commodities? Any idea? Cotton, spices, silk. बोल सकते हैं ना? Ivory, pearl. But in reality, none of them. I knew. What is it? Saltpeter. ठीक है? So it was saltpeter, the ingredient which was required for creating the gunpowder. So he was involved in the trade of the saltpeter, and in fact, entire world needed saltpeter. ठीक है? That British needed to wage their wars. French needed, Dutch needed. Everybody needs that barood to create some sort of visport in their own areas. Then, so now saltpeter was that very interesting trade, and he was master of it. So in a very short span of time, he became very rich. Okay? So he became quite rich, and people from the different parts of the world, they were trading with him. Now what has happened? That by the time his sons are growing, one of his sons was Manik Chand, okay? And who was one of the closest colleague of the Murshid Quli Khan. When Murshid Quli Khan has contested the Mughal emperor, so that point of time there was support of the Manik Chand, okay? Support of the Manik Chand, that he said that you contest him, monetarily I am supporting you. So because of this support, when Bengal was founded by Murshid Quli Khan, so many of the financial rights were given to this family, Manik Chand. So Manik Chand was given the entire minting rights of the Bengal. Earlier, this minting right was going to the Britishers, okay? But now he has given it to this Manik Chand or Jagat Seth family. Then, not only minting rights, from minting rights they had control on the entire money circulation in the Bengal. So obviously income is there, great income is there. Moreover, they had income from their merchant activity, usse ek income hai, and they had income from the banking activity. So it is said about this family that Manik Chand's son was the Fateh Chand, and Fateh Chand by 1730 he was considered as the richest individual in the contemporary world, and his annual income was ranging somewhere between 50 to 70 lakh. Okay? 50 to 70 lakh, and don't go by the figure. This is 1730, okay? And 50 to 70 lakh, it is very closer to 50 to 60 billion of this time, okay? So, yes, they had this much control. And then, he was richest individual in the world, and moreover, you know, money is also a power, okay? So, money is a power, and because of this money, they had a very important role in the Bengal politics. Then, so if they are saying to the Bengal Nawab that this decision is to be taken, he cannot say no to that. Okay? So he cannot say no to that. He always agreed for that. And moreover, it is the first place in India where the bankers are the part of nobility. They are darbari also. Okay? So they are the part of nobility. Then one more thing, you listen, okay? That these people, they often gave loans, and they often gave loans in the kind of check, okay? You know what is the name of the check? Hundi, okay? So they often gave hundis, and hundi is the bill of exchange. I think this was just in 2019 or 20 paper. Then, so what is hundi? Hundi is a bill of exchange, and that all started from Bengal. So the lowest level of the hundi that they were giving at that point of time, 1 lakh. Okay? So 1 lakh was the minimum amount hundi, meaning the minimum amount check. And the highest amount of hundi was known as Darsani hundi or Darshani hundi, which was around the sum of Darsani hundi was around 1 crore rupees. So there is one unfortunate event which has happened in the Bengal. Just listen. So these Jagat Seths, they had their kothis. Kothi, I hope you understand, bungalows and mansions in the different cities of the Bengal. So they had their kothis in Patna, Munger, Malda, Murshidabad, Calcutta, Odisha, Cuttack, Bhubaneswar. So every place they have a kind of a house, and these all houses were stuffed with so much of money. So there was a time when Marathas, they invaded in the kothis of the Jagat Seths, and they looted hell lot of amount. And that was also the time when Bengal Nawab needed some money to remit it to the Mughal emperor. And that point of time, they signed Darsani Hundi of 2 crore. So even after losing hell lot of their money, which Marathas have looted, they had no hesitation in signing the 2 crore hundi. Okay? So they were the richest individuals of the world. And one more thing was said about the Jagat Seths. They see that this is the common name for the family, Jagat Seth, meaning the people who are the bankers to the world. Okay? So that's in a true sense, they were the bankers to the world. They gave loan to the British company. They gave loan to the Dutch also and took interest from them also. So there was one very popular phrase about this particular Jagat Seth family, that if Jagat Seths collapse in Bengal, so then the trade in Bengal will collapse. And that proved to be true in the later times. We will see that why it happened and how it happened in the later times. You're right. So very first one, you have written efficient land revenue collection. Then subheading, you write growing importance of merchant bankers. Growing importance of merchant bankers in Bengal politics. Mention merchant bankers hold a very unique position in Bengal politics. Full stop. They provided security at each and every level of transaction. Okay? Full stop. The most important of them was the Jagat Seth family. The most important of them was the Jagat Seth family. Okay? Then further you write note. Usi means downside, change paragraph and then write note. And this is a note on Jagat Seth. Okay? So please mention. Okay? At the time of the foundation of Bengal, Manik Chand supported, and Manik Chand is from the Jagat Seth family. Okay? So supported Murshid Quli Khan. As such, he got the minting rights of Bengal. Full stop. They had complete control on the finances of Bengal. Full stop. Then, moreover, they had huge income. From merchant and banking activity. ठीक है. Jagat Seth Fateh Chand. Jagat Seth Fateh Chand was the richest individual in the contemporary world. Richest individual in the contemporary world. Then mention Jagat Seths often released the bill of exchange known as hundi. Bill of exchange known as hundi. Then further you write, generally the minimum amount hundi was 1 lakh. Generally the minimum amount hundi was 1 lakh and maximum darsani hundi amounting 1 crore. Okay? Then further you write, change line and then you mention, it was popular in Bengal that if Jagat Seths collapse, then the trade in Bengal will collapse. Okay? One more line you write. In other areas of the country, the nobility mainly came from Jagirdari, Zamindari. And Zamindari. But in Bengal, merchant bankers were an important part of nobility. So this is little bit about the Jagat Seth, the richest individuals in the world. Then, so now let's come to the next feature. Okay? So the next feature, that during the regime of Murshid Quli Khan, that there was huge attention was paid to the agriculture. Okay? So for example, that new canals are getting created, irrigation facilities are repaired, new ones are created, and moreover, when you look at the topography, the geography of the Bengal, it favors the production. Okay? So it's a naturally very fertile area. That Bengal has a tropical part also, जहाँ पे बहुत बारिश होती है. There is a subtropical part also. Then it has a moist deciduous monsoon climate also. And then if you go to the upper reaches of Bengal, so there is a hill climate also, like Darjeeling, ठीक है, and Kuch Bihar, ठीक है, Duars. Then so it has all type of diversity. And then moreover, in Bangladesh, you see that the two rivers which are bringing very fertile soil, the Brahmaputra on one side and then the Ganga on the other side. So naturally it is quite fertile, and this fertility further increased at the time of the Murshid Quli Khan due to his intervention, and there was high agricultural production. So please mention that during the regime of, next point, so during the regime of Murshid Quli Khan, there there was increase in agricultural productivity. There was increase in agricultural productivity. Moreover, the topography of the Bengal was always very suitable for high agricultural production. Okay? Then the next one, you just listen, and that's the last thing which I'm discussing today, and rest of the things we'll discuss in the next class. Okay? So just listen, the last one, that by this time, that 1730s onwards, there was hell lot of political crisis in the world. Okay? And basically we are talking about the India itself, that 1739, when the Battle of Karnal has happened. Okay? And after the Battle of Karnal, that from 1739 to 1767, okay? So this is how many years? Near about 18 years, okay? 18, 19 years, okay? So, no, not 18, 28, 29 years. So these many years, there was that capture of the route by the Persians. Basically, when you look at the map of India, particularly, let me draw one then. So just give me a few seconds. Just give me a few seconds. So when we look at this particular part, I don't need much time, but this much is enough. Okay? So now just look at this. So this area, this is the part which has been captured by the Persians, and the route which was there at this point of time, basically there is a one route which is going from the China to Rome, that is Silk Route. And moreover, that this area, there are so many passes in this area. So from this area, these all Persians, okay, first Nadir Shah, and then for next 20 years Ahmad Shah Abdali. So this entire route is captured by the invaders. So earlier there was hell lot of trade which was happening from the land route. Now the land route traffic decreased, okay? Or trade from the land route, it decreased. So now the only area for trade which was available in India, the coastal part, okay? So coastal part, so the oceanic trade in India from 1740 onwards, it started to thrive. And so as the trade in Bengal, oceanic trade in Bengal started to thrive, because Bengal was the richest, and moreover, Bengal was hub of the manufacturing activity in India. It was not the Bombay, it was not the Surat, it was not the South India, but it was Bengal, which was the hub of the manufacturing activity. So there was a renewed interest in the European companies to trade with Bengal, and they started to come to Bengal in a much greater fervor at this point of time. Please mention. So during the political crisis of mid 18th century, during the political crisis of mid 18th century, the overland traffic decreased. Overland traffic decreased, and it further led to decrease in land trade, land route trade, sorry, land route add कर लो, land route trade, ठीक है, full stop. After this, the oceanic trade route thrived. 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 Full stop. Bengal was the manufacturing hub of India. Bengal was the manufacturing hub of the India. And as such, the Europeans had high and renewed interest in trade with Bengal. Okay? So these are some of the aspects. One or two more are there. We'll do in the next class. So we don't have class tomorrow, I think. So next week we will complete the topic of Bengal, and if time permits, so then we can enter into the Mysore also. Chalo, thank you.